cidade chamada Tampa, pro lado de Orlando, mas o local que vai ser mais afetado vai ser a cidade de Tampa. Eu estou em Hollywood, estou já mais no finalzinho daqui do sul da Flórida. Então vejam, aqui nós teremos ventania, vamos ter chuva, mas esse furacão que vai passar em Tampa, no centro da Flórida, com categoria 3 ou 4, os ventos serão entre 140 por hora e fará muito estrago por causa ele está sentado ali mais ou menos, né, no Golfo do México, já está se aproximando e vai entrar em Tampa, na cidade de Tampa, na manhãzinha, amanhã de manhã ele entra. Então, mas olha, vocês veem, já estamos percebendo o vento deste furacão aqui em Hollywood, gente. Então, ele não vai passar por aqui, mas nós vamos sentir essa ventania dele, que aqui deve ser no máximo de 30 ou 40 por hora. Então estamos começando a perceber a ventania do furacão, ok? Mas que Deus tenha misericórdia do povo lá de Tampa. Muitos tentaram sair da cidade desde ontem. Teve pessoas que ficaram, e que Deus tenha misericórdia dessas pessoas, porque é caso muito sério e vai ser muito difícil alguém sobreviver da enchente que vai causar esse furacão, trazendo toda a água do mar, da Bahia para dentro das cidades. E vai ser uma altura mais ou menos de, creio que 9 a 10 metros, gente, de altura, ok? De água subindo na cidade. Então realmente é um furacão extraordinário que todos estão vendo essa situação, que estamos nesta temporada de furacão na Flórida. Então o furacão entrará em Tampa, mas Hollywood, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Pompano Beach, esses bairros todos estão fora do cone do furacão. Então estamos aqui, apenas vamos ter chuva e ventania, ok? Então aí vocês acompanhem no canal, que eu vou colocando mais notícias para vocês assim que eu puder.
Aí na cidade de Tampa, a polícia passava mandando todos saírem de suas casas. E ontem assim foi na cidade de Tampa, todos saindo na rodovia, estava bem lento, mas muitos conseguiram sair. Era uma alerta, a emergência de saírem da cidade, pois o furacão de 140 ou 150 milhas por hora está chegando amanhã de manhã. E eles mal deram tempo de se recuperarem do furacão que passou semana passada, furacão Helene. E aí está todos os destroços nas ruas, mas não há outro jeito. É pegar o que tem e sair da cidade. Porque este furacão realmente é um caso de vida ou morte. Deixar suas coisas tudo para trás, o material, preocuparem com suas vidas. Aí foi o que aconteceu semana passada, 2 semanas atrás, no furacão Helene. E aí vocês verem que não há jeito de ter tempo de se preocuparem e limpar a rua, limpar a cidade, pois outro grande furacão, mais forte do que Helene, está vindo. Então aqui eu estou em Hollywood e Deus vem me protegendo em toda essa minha vida de América, que os furacões nas épocas, na temporada, ameaça passar. E Deus nunca permitiu de minha casa acontecer nada no meu lar. Sempre quando teve furacões ameaçando e vir para cá, são desviados. E assim vocês verem que teremos chuvas e ventos, mas não será um furacão nem de uma categoria, nem de 1, nem de 2, nem de 3, nem de 4. Apenas serão chuvas e ventos, pois assim Deus me permite estar mais uma vez, por sua misericórdia, tendo sua proteção. E que Ele proteja todos que estão lá do outro lado, aqueles que ficarão sem suas propriedades, que Ele dê força, que as pessoas possam olhar para o espiritual. Eu estou vendo que isso sim é uma alerta para todos nós estarmos preparados. Jesus nos alertou que isso aconteceria antes do seu retorno. Seria como dores de parto. E assim vemos o mundo em dores de parto. Furacões aumentando cada vez mais, terremotos, rumores de guerra e guerra cada vez mais. Estamos chegando pronto. O arrebatamento está para acontecer antes da grande tribulação. Está muito perto. Prepara-te, povo de Deus.
Therefore, whosoever heareth these things of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rains descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon the house. And it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And every one that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man which built his house upon the sands. And the rains descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon the house, and fell, and great was the fall of it. I pray the Holy Spirit will reveal it. Jesus was speaking here of a coming storm which has got to strike every man and every woman that's born in the world. There's just no way out of it. That storm will strike you sometime or other. And it depends on what kind of a foundation that you have, whether your house will weather it or not. There's been many lives saved because of preparation for storms. And there's been many a life lost because of failing to take heed to the warning of storms that's coming. Not long ago, I was told of a story that happened, I believe I read it in a newspaper, down in Florida. They have many great storms that sweeps through Florida. Typhoons that come in off the sea and brings the water for city blocks up into the city and sweeps out everything. And I'm told that their weather prophets are always on the lookout for such storms, and some way through the elements that they can contact the changing of the weather and the atmosphere, that which way this weather is gathering, that'll bring forth one of those storms. Because they've made it a life study, and by certain instruments and things that science has provided them, and then by calling ahead and hearing of which way the storm's coming, how much wind it's got behind him, which way other storms are coming or winds whether it's able to combat, to shove away the storm. I could stop here and preach for an hour on that. That it takes a greater storm that's coming. It takes a higher wind to turn that storm. So is it today. And we all know that we've got an oncoming storm. And the only wind that I know that can turn that storm will be that rushing wind that fell on the day of Pentecost. And then there's only one thing that can turn that storm. And that's a more powerful storm that can beset it and change its course. And these prophets of the weather in Florida are pretty accurate with their prophesying. They are set for that purpose, to warn the people. I was reading, or forget just now, I believe it was in a newspaper, of a storm a few years ago that was on its way across Florida, central Florida, and all the regions around Okeechobee was warned. I just left there about 5 weeks ago. And there was a neighbor man who kept in contact with radio all the time because of these storms, and he was a very renowned Christian. And he heard that the great typhoon was coming that way, twisting down trees, and everyone was warned to get to safety. And he thought of his neighbor who had a chicken farm and some light buildings with their chickens in them, their brooder houses and so forth, and their pens, where all that they had in life was tied up with these chickens of their living. And he rushed quickly, frantically up to the gate and stopped his car and jumped out and said to this fella, "Take all the chickens and put them in your storm shelter, and you rush over to mine, because there is coming a typhoon or a storm that's going to twist everything down." And the man stood and looked him in the face and laughed at him and said, "Nonsense. I've heard them predict such things before, and it never did happen." And the Christian neighbor was so excited, he said, "But what if it does happen?" We hear remarks like that along the line. "I've heard of this going to happen, that's going to happen." But it is going to happen one of these days. And it behooves us to listen to every warning. But this man said, "I have no time for such foolishness. I raise chickens and I have no time for such." And he cried out. The neighbor said, "In the name of God," he said, "leave those chickens alone, them, John, and come quickly. You and your family, if you don't want to believe it. Let your family come." And he said, "I will not have my children to be excited over a few radio warnings. My children, I have decided, will live as I live. And my wife will listen to me because I am the breadwinner of this home. And she must listen to me. I'm boss here. And I will not have my children all excited or tore up about some nonsense." And the neighbor was turned, and he went to his home, into his shelter, and all of a sudden, That's the way judgment strikes. It comes so sudden. You wonder how it can get there so quick. I've seen cruel man who once cursed God fall and scream and say, how could you treat me this way? The whole every foundation was swept out from under him in a moment. Judgment strikes. It comes so sudden. You wonder how it can get there so quick. I've seen cruel man who once cursed God fall and scream and say, how could you treat me this way? The whole every foundation was swept out from under him in a moment. It pays to take warning. Oh, you might laugh at the messenger. You might be able even to kill him. But you cannot kill the message. Go on just the same. God's message is eternal. His words will never fail. Paul was successfully in having Stephen stoned. But all through his life until he surrendered to Christ was he never able to get away from that message. I see heavens open and Jesus standing at the right hand of God. Something got a hold of him. It wasn't the messenger, it was the message he had. How much more has He made a way of escape for us? We feel the Holy Spirit tugging at our heart. The hour is coming. We see the shadows of the atomic age. We see the shadows of the hydrogen age. We see nations are breaking. Israel awakening. The storms are coming. There's a hiding place. Oh, a blessed hiding place. It's in Christ.